Hello my beautiful plague beasts and welcome to the wasteland today. Today I have yet another tier list for you and it's probably going to be slightly disliked because it is for Ocarina of Time and I'm going to be ranking the dungeons, which everyone has very strong opinions because it is a very old and very beloved game. So I'm probably going to make some people angry. But this is my list, so YOLO. Let me scooch down here. Alright. There we go. So, this one also has a few mini dungeons, I guess. And I will be ranking those. So, let's start. What is this? It's the bottom of the well. So, starting strong. The bottom of the well, which is late game. I love this. A lot of people, I feel, kind of underappreciate the well. And honestly, I would pretty much clump it with the Shadow Temple. But it's super creepy. It is, I think, the first time in the game where you get introduced to dead hands, which are terrifying. They are one of the scariest video game monsters. And then, of course, there's wall masters and floor masters, which are also really scary, and they used to scare the hell out of me when I was a kid. So, I really like how this is designed, and even though I would technically consider this part of the Shadow Temple itself, I love the Shadow Temple. So, I'm putting this one in A. It's relatively short, but I love it. And I like the Lens of Truth, so Deku Tree. The very first dungeon in the game. This one, I see a lot of people put on S tier, and I'm not gonna. But it does its job well. It is the first dungeon in the game, and it's introducing you to a lot of like 3D elements for it being the first 3D Zelda. It does a good job with things, but I don't know if it's because I've replayed the game so many times and I'm so sick of the Deku Tree. I feel like it still could have been better. Its visuals and its enemies get extremely, I guess, redundant over time. And although it's a relatively short dungeon, it's just, it's okay. It does its job. But I don't know if it's because I played it so much. I don't really enjoy playing it as much anymore. I'm going to save the two Water and Fire Temple. Oh, that's the Forest Temple. For last. So these two. Because I have my thoughts on those. So, the Forest Temple. Y'all know. S tier. And if someone ever makes a tier list and they don't put the Forest Temple in the S tier, block them. It's okay. You can block them. Or at least dislike the video. I know that it is personal opinion making a tier list video, but if you put the Forest Temple on anything that isn't S tier, what are you doing? I love the Forest Temple. I love fighting the different ghosts. They have the different ghost sisters, and collecting the different magical fire is really cool. The music here is absolutely amazing. I actually have this song on my phone, and I listen to it a lot, especially when I'm at lunch at work. This place is beautiful. It's everything one of the dungeons needs to be. And it's the first dungeon you get to when you're older. It's the first real dungeon of the game. The others I would consider much, much smaller. Not really many dungeons. They're just starter dungeons. So this is the first serious dungeon. And it does it perfectly. Superbly. For S. S tier. Ganons Castle. It looks so cool. I feel like it's a little long and it's got some weak points. A lot of it is just reusing what you've learned throughout the game. But it's kind of nice. It's kind of like a flashback of all of your journey to get here. So I really appreciate this one. Give it an A. Might get bumped up to S. We'll see. But I personally like Ganons Castle. There's some moments that are kind of weak, but I really appreciate it. I like kind of re-traveling all your memories to get here. This is, looks like the Gerudo Training Grounds. D. This is an optional part of the game, and you get, it's kind of a pain in the ass to do. You have to collect pretty much everything else before you can finish this one. I don't find it enjoyable, and the ice arrows in Ocarina of Time are relatively useless. So, D. It's not enjoyable. The reward isn't good enough. D. The Dongas Cavern. 4T. This one will not be going a D. I really appreciate the Dongas Cavern. I want to put it above Deku Tree. I wish this would have been the first kind of dungeon in the game. But I do feel like it kind of shows you how to play a bit better than the Deku Tree does. But it's harder, so that's probably why it was second. I love this one. I love the aesthetic. I love Goron's. And the giant Dodongo skull in the main hall is really cool. And the fact that you open it up and you light up its eyes with the bombs and you go inside its mouth is really, really cool. I love this one. And the boss is super easy, but I love fighting him. He's a lot of fun. Very quick boss fight. But I really like this one. The location can be a bit rough, especially for starters, but I love this one. And since Deku Tree is B, I feel like this one has to be an A. Ice Cavern, put it in C. It's extremely forgettable, but I don't hate it. It's just kind of pointless. You just go there and you just quickly run through it. It's kind of a pain in the ass. The slippery physics are a pain. And the music's really cool. It's pretty, but it's kind of forgettable. It's not unenjoyable. It's just forgettable. I wish that it looked more like the scene at the end where you're doing the, Serenade of Water with Sheik. But I still think it's really pretty, and I like the ice monsters. I just feel like it could have been better. Jabbas Belly. Putting that there. It is extremely hideous. You're literally inside of a giant sea turtle thing, and you have a really snobby, at the time, princess that you have to carry around throughout a good chunk of the dungeon, and shoot uvulas, and fight a giant octopus by stabbing it in the butt. The boss battle is the only thing that's relatively enjoyable about this one. Otherwise, I hate everything about Jabbas Belly. I'm sorry. There's probably people that like it and like the insides aesthetic to it. I'm good. It's gross. Y'all have your turtle. He's cute on the outside, though. Shadow Temple! My favorite temple in the game, I think. It's really tough, but definitely S tier. The dungeons that Ocarina of Time does really well, it does really well. And I love the Shadow Temple. Fun fact, When you're on the boat ride at the end going to Bongo Bongo, who's an amazing boss, the chimes on the boat I actually plan to someday use as my wedding chimes because I think the bridal march is horrendous. So my bridal march as I walk towards the groom is actually going to be the bells from the Shadow Temple's giant boat. I love this temple. It's definitely dark, but I feel like it's not as creepy as the bottom of the well, which is kind of funny. I still love it. I love all the different, though I feel relatively easy, puzzles. I love the boat ride. That's really cool, and fighting off the enemies while you're doing the boat ride. And I love Bongo Bongo. The music's really pretty too. I love the graveyard. I love the lore that it might be where the Sheikah used to torture people for the kingdom. That's cool. So, could be my favorite. We'll see. Now, Spirit Temple. Gerudo are hot, so that's a plus. The temple itself is beautiful, and having to travel through time to do the temple, kind of like the Shadow Temple, is really cool. I love the music here. I love the enemies here. It can be really tough. Fun fact, sometimes if you stand on the giant statue's boobs, you'll get hurt. I love the mirror shield. It's a really cool item that I feel like was underused, but I still love it. Everything about this dungeon was very lovingly made. I think they did a great job with it. So, as much as I love Forest Temple, I think my favorite's tied between these two. I might like the Shadow Temple more, but the Spirit Temple is absolutely amazing. It is so beautifully made. And fighting the twin witches at the end is fun. It's a really tough call between these two. But they're definitely both S tier. Now to the two on the more, I suppose, controversial side. Everyone hates the Water Temple. I don't! So, y'all doing the dislike button now. I can feel it. It's just clicks everywhere. Not an S tier. Got a lot of problems. I've never done this temple on Master Quest, but I heard it was better. I feel like constantly raising and lowering the water is a pain. And then in the original version, having to constantly equip and unequip the stupid boots is a pain. But I really think this is a really beautiful temple. I like somewhat working with a chilled out, mellow Princess Ruto. And of course, fighting Dark Link / Shadow Link is really cool. The only thing I personally would complain about is that the boss is garbage. He's like a uvula with a thing in it. The boss is garbage. I don't even think there's much lore to the boss. They're just like, you know what, it's a water temple, so we have to have a liquid boss. Here you go. But if they would have had Dark Link as the boss, that would have been really cool. But I don't have much complaints about this one. It's kind of easy to get lost in, but I mean, it's a dungeon. It's not super linear. You can get messed up. I like this one. I would rather do the Water Temple 3 times in a row before I would ever want to do the Fire Temple. A lot of people don't mind this one. I hate the Fire Temple. It is the worst dungeon in the game to me. I absolutely hate it. I don't like how it looks. I don't like any of the enemies. I don't like the like mini bosses that you have to keep fighting. Volvagia is really cool. He's absolutely beautiful, or she. I think it's a he. And seeing the Gorons slowly coming back is cool. But the temple itself, I hate the temple. There's nothing about it I like, and honestly, the Megaton Hammer I think is the most forgettable item in the game. I honestly usually forget that it exists. There's nothing I really enjoy about it, other than Volvagia is cool looking. But the boss fight isn't even that great. He looks cool, but the boss fight isn't like super cool or anything. So, that's my list. If you're still watching and didn't dislike or unsubscribe, I hope you guys enjoyed my list. And I intend, hold it, woo, there we go. I intend to do more. So if there's any specific tier lists you would like to see, comment down below and I will try to get to them. I'm going to be doing tier lists often enough if I can. I think they're relatively simple to make for my busier days. My cat is stirring in his sleep. So expect to see a bit more of these. I hope you guys like them. And I will see you guys on the next episode. Have a safe and wonderful day in the wasteland. I love you all. Bye.